students to improve their vocabulary.
Hmm.
Because the stronger the vocabulary is, the more ideas, the more open we'll be for that.
Correct.
What I suggest to my students is that prepare a small for production écrite and for production orale.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular resource, or maybe is there any particular platform where a person can go and do mock exam, mock practice, or what do you recommend for that part?
So basically, how do you work on your speaking skills? Generally, just think about it. How do you work on your speaking competence? You speak regularly. So
Right.
you have regular conversation practice. It could be with your teachers, it could be with your peers, your classmates, friends, right?
Right.
You can organize French speaking groups.
Hmm.
Another part of speaking definitely involves pronunciation as well as intonation. Right?
Right.
The way your voice moves up and down, the tone of your voice.
Correct.
Right? How do you get better at pronunciation, intonation? By listening and repeating.
Hmm.
Right? So you can record yourself, you can listen to it, you can get your teacher to correct you or your peers to correct you. That definitely helps. The other thing is you have a lot of DELF books, DELF preparation material that's available.
Right.
There is some that's available for free online. But if you're very serious about it, you have books that you can purchase as well.
Okay.
Right? So you have mock speaking tests with mock topics, sample papers, sample topics. You can prepare for common topics that you know would definitely come, right? For example, in the A1, A2 levels, you have, ideas like family, present yourself, family, hobbies, travel, education, concepts pertaining to daily life. So prepare for that. Right? If it's the higher level, then you know that it's going to be an argumentative discussion. So you have to prepare yourself to be able to argue in French, right? You need keywords. You have to be able to use relevant vocabulary with the relevant connectors, logical connectors, and the relevant grammar. Basically, per level, you have to see what competencies they are looking for. This material is available online on this website called FEI, France Éducation Nationale, Internationale, right? So it's available there, and it gives you the grids as well, right? What the examiners are looking for. All of this is public knowledge, so you can access it, figure out what it is per level that is required, and work accordingly.
Right.
So apart from that, I would say you have to think in French, right? So how does one think in French? One can avoid translating, because if you understand a concept, that's more than enough, right? If you don't understand a concept, that is where you need to be able to translate it. Some concepts you can't translate. For example, food, right? Like for example, if you have in an Indian context, if you've never seen a dosa or vada or idli, you don't know what that is, right? In that case, the best way to do it is Google it, look at images, maybe then that will help you. Or if you have the resources to taste it, you taste it. Similarly, French food, right? If you have never seen it, you can't visualize it. But certain other concepts, like for example, a bag, a book, a house, you have seen it, right? It exists everywhere. You've seen it. So try to visualize these ideas instead of translating them. That's another way, in which you can think in French. This definitely helps with your speaking as well.
Absolutely.
Because now you're not translating in your mind, what is the word for a book? What is the word for a pen? You know what the word is in French. Maybe you're visualizing the object. Right? You have to be able to figure out what works best for you. For some people, it's listening and repeating, because all of us actually have different learning profiles. Some of us are better at listening, some of us are better at speaking. But now the exam is evaluating you per concept, right? Like per competence, per skill. And you have to put your best foot forward in each of them. Right? In some things you might get in 20s, and some you might get in the teens, which is fine. But overall, you have to try and see that you're covering most of it, so that you get at least the pass mark and you clear the exam. That's the goal, right? But if you want to do really well, then I would say, think in French, think quickly by avoiding translation, and structure your speaking. A lot of us believe that if we speak for a long time, right, if we just add different concepts randomly from here and there, our answers look good. But no, it doesn't. We need clear, precise answers Opinions have to be justified, for example, using the
Right.
relevant vocabulary and with that relevant structure. So you asked me again how to work better on language skills, on writing skills in a
Writing
language,
skills.
right? So you practice writing regularly, write every day, write something daily. Maybe it could be a journal outside of, French class. You could maybe do a daily journal, talk about how your day went, because there you're talking about the past tense. Maybe you can
Right.
talk about your future aspirations, where you're using the conditional in the future. So
Right.
you're using these concepts practically in your daily life, right? You can write essays, focus on structure, focus
Correct.
on grammar, and
Correct.
expand your vocabulary. And the other important thing is to proofread your work. Like I said, making mistakes is not a problem. Being able to identify your mistakes and to be able to correct that is a real goal of any autonomous learner.
Absolutely.
Right? So once you're able to do all of this, you will definitely do better in your speaking as well as your writing competences. Do you have any other strategies, Part, to add to it?
No, ma'am. I think what I suggest is for the writing part, I mostly suggest my students to improve their vocabulary. Because the stronger the vocabulary is, the more ideas, the more open we will be for the ideas,
Correct.
right?
I agree.
And the more we will be able to express ourselves.
Correct. Absolutely.
So, what I suggest to my students is that prepare a small vocabulary notebook, and whatever words you come across every single day, just note them down. Keep noting them down along with their meanings in whatever language you feel in your own language of ease. For example, if you feel comfortable in Hindi, so just write down the meaning in Hindi so that will stay connected with you. Okay. And apart from that, let's say second day, let's say you find 5 words. Third day, you find again 5 words.
Correct.
When you are writing the vocabulary words on the second day, revise the words that you have written on first day. Then
Correct.
whatever words you have written on the third day, revise the first and second day also.
Exactly.
And
So might I also
revising doesn't really mean that we have to go through each word. We just have to take a quick look at the words.
correct.
And that will actually in the longer run, that will actually build up a lot of build your vocabulary very strong.
Exactly.
Your foundation will be very strong. That's what I suggest my students, ma'am.
Correct. I completely agree with you. So might I also suggest, making mental maps, like theme-wise, right? For example, if you're working on the theme of your hobbies, then list out all the hobbies, because visual aids also help. Right? Sometimes for different people, it works differently, right? Like I said,
Right.
first you have to be able to identify your learner profile.
Correct.
What competence you're best at? Like, is it listening, reading, speaking, or writing, in terms of developing your vocabulary as well? Right? For my students, generally, I suggest visualizing concepts because it works better. But it depends really, there's no hard and fast rule that you have to do it or you don't have to do something. But mind maps is what helps a lot, is what I believe.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah. So if theme-wise also, you
Right.
can work on mind maps theme-wise.
Correct.
It could be with visuals, it could be with words in different languages, and you figure it out. Right?
Right.
It
Ma'am,
depends.
I think like I usually follow the book that is Cosmopolite. That is also followed in I think Alliance Française also. Cosmopolite, right? For
For now it's used.
Yeah. So these books are actually designed in like themes only. Like every
Correct.
chapter is divided into themes.
Absolutely.
So whenever I teach any concept, it's actually in themes only. So in one particular word, let's say if you're talking about sports, so all the words will be related to sports only, and the person is able to to grasp all the vocabulary related to sports, or maybe body vocabulary, body parts in French.
Correct.
And all that, right?
That definitely helps.
That really helps. I think the books are also designed in a very, very nice way. So I think that will really help. Now,
Correct.
apart from that, ma'am, what are the, like you have already mentioned, like, how someone can improve their speaking, their writing skills for higher certification exams. Now, I don't want to touch upon that. Now, one more thing I wanted to know, how does French really help in the corporate sector? Like, what skills do companies really look for?
Okay. So basically, how does French help in the corporate sector in multiple ways, right? So you have increased career opportunities in MNCs. You can have, like I said, I worked with a Swiss company, right? It's not even a French company. It's a Swiss company. Francophone companies which have their head offices based in a French-speaking region, right? So you have multinational companies. The world is a global economy right now.
Right.
You can always form business relations, right? Like I had a lot of clients sitting in France, in Luxembourg, and in Africa as well, in Francophone Africa. So, you can always help improve business relations between nations. Apart from that, you have international collaboration, cross-cultural collaboration, communication. Yeah.
Right.
And again, you have a global market reach. Apart from that, what does, what kind of skills are the companies looking for from French speakers in India? They're looking for proficiency in the language, basically. At the end of the day, they want you to be proficient in the language, right?
Correct.
What does that mean? You're good at communicating. It's in written as well as spoken, oral communication.
Right.
Another very important part that we sometimes don't really think about is cultural sensitivity and cross-cultural understanding.
Okay.
When you're working with different cultures, when you're working with different nations, you need to know what their perspective is like, right? In French, like in Hindi, like in many Indian languages, actually, we have, socio-linguistic barriers as well, right? You can say tu to someone, which is the informal version, like tum in Hindi, for example, and you have aap, right, in Hindi, which is the equivalent of vu. And it's used in a similar context. But it's not used in terms of giving respect or offering respect. It's to show formality and to maintain that sort of distance. Right. Tu, on the other hand, is used for somebody that you're much closer to, maybe a family member or a friend or, somebody, a colleague, but who's close to you. Right. You have to be very careful of these cultural sensitivities, You may not want to say tu to your boss unless they insist that you call them that. Right. Otherwise, you would say woo. So you have to be very, very careful. Again, I think your business and industry knowledge matters as well. There is jargon that you use in a particular industry. What you would use in the IT sector will not be the same that you'll use probably in an insurance or reinsurance sector. Right? Or in the teaching field, for example. It'll be different, the vocabulary. So you have to be able to pick that up. Apart from that, I think, interpersonal skills also matter. And how good you are at being able to communicate, right? At the end of the day, language is meant for communication. Yeah.
Very true, ma'am. That's great. And ma'am, what do you think, like most of the working professionals, like, or maybe the people who are like, like having these questions, whether I should learn a language or not. So at the end, working professionals, they are looking forward how the language can help me in increasing my earning potential, right?
Correct.
So as you have such a vast experience and such a diversified experience in multiple fields, so I wanted to take your opinion on how much earning potential is there with the language. Like if I talk about teaching, if I talk about maybe corporate sector, if I talk about maybe like government agencies like embassies or maybe other organizations. So what are the earning potential? How much a person can earn? I mean, I know it really depends upon the skill set also, but if it will be really good for the people, I think, to know what range they can fall into.
Right. So I think entry-level jobs, I guess, if you're very good at a foreign language, they would start above 4 lakhs is what I believe. 4 lakhs INR per annum, right? Above that. So, I mean, this is just a starting range. Again, it depends, on the sector that you're working in, maybe the school that you're working in, the corporate, right? Depends on your skill sets, what you bring to the table.
Right.
What exactly your role is, right? And then the upper limit, I mean, really, is there an upper limit? I'm not sure about that because, you can have like multiple sources of income from the same language that you're learning. You could be a translator one day, you could do like teaching the other day, you could be a consultant with a firm, right? So it depends really on what you're doing. So I wouldn't really put a number on that, but I would say that the starting salary, the entry level position would be anywhere above 4-5 lakhs.
Anywhere above 4-5 lakhs, absolutely. Yes. And ma'am, I think like for somebody who is in corporate, I feel that like it really depends. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities outside India also.
Correct.
If somebody wants to look out for some opportunities outside, and I have a lot of connections. Like right recently, whom I'm just I just connected with them.
Mhm.
The people there they are staying in Luxembourg or maybe Dubai, Canada. With the French language, they are earning like 1 CR plus also.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, and and that too annually they are earning that much. And I know their expenses are also good, but the earning potential is there is no cap on that.
Correct.
The more and more the person is able to like get into the language, the more and more person will be able to get it back as
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Right? Again, you're honing yourself, you're honing your language skills. So
right.
the better you get it, your domain, the more you can earn. I mean, this is
Absolutely.
normal, right?
Absolutely. I think, and it's in all the fields, ma'am, not
In
just
all the fields, yeah, not just French. Yeah.
right. Right. Now, apart from that, ma'am, I also wanted to know, can you share the insights from your corporate training experience and how businesses value the language?
Right. So, like I said earlier, you have access to global markets.
Right.
Yeah. And basically, you're trying to improve client relations, right? If you're working as an employee in the corporate sector, what are you trying to do
Right.
with the language? You're trying to improve client relations to be able to achieve a particular solution,
Correct.
right? Sometimes you need experts, French language experts, to be able to help you negotiate business deals.
Correct, ma'am.
Right? So business negotiations. Sometimes you need French language experts for customer support and services as well. Right? You have offered some service, something's not working, probably you need somebody to support, right? To be able to figure out what the issue is and to find a solution.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's always about problems and solutions. So I think it's that.
Right. And ma'am, how the learners can, market their French skills to the employer for better opportunities? Is there any particular way for that? How can someone market their, their French skill to the employers for more and more opportunities?
Mhm.
Who is,
So basically, first thing, work on your certifications, like work on your language skills, obtain relevant certifications.
right.
A B1 and a higher level is what is generally required by corporates. Right? If you want to teach, you have to be already very good at your language level.
Absolutely.
So ideally, a B2, C1 would be great. C2 is the best, but a B2, C1 is good.
Right.
And if you can also do your master's or perhaps a PhD, if you're really serious about a particular sector or you want to learn about, the language, do your studies in that particular language, look for an MA program or a PhD in French. Apart from that, you have other certifications as well relating to French. It could be French language teaching. It could be certifications in the French language.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apart from DELF, ma'am? Apart from DELF or DELF?
Apart from DELF, yes, you have something known as FOS, which is basically like French for specific purposes with specific objectives. Okay. Yeah, so you have that. You have something known as EFLU and DELF, right? So you can take a look at these. Basically, you have short-term, long-term courses also. You have MOOCs online. You can work on those. You have webinars which train you on specific, sometimes they're free as well. They're organized by the International Francophonie Organization, also by the French Embassy in India, under their cultural educational wing, which is called Institut Français en Inde or French Institute in India. They organize a lot of these, regional meetings or regional trainings for teachers. It could be school teachers, college, university teachers, or teachers of the Alliance as well. So try to get into as many trainings as possible. Try out a few webinars online as well. And the trick is to just keep yourself updated all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Also with AI coming in, right? You have to work with it. You have to make sure you're incorporating AI in your teaching methodologies as well.
Right.
Right? And not think of it as a competition or, not think of it as a challenge or a barrier to learning or for your teaching for that matter.
Correct. Absolutely correct, ma'am. Now, ma'am, one more and one last question for the French learners is that people who are maybe just starting with the language, they are finding it very, difficult to find out some person, genuine trainer. Because I have seen a lot of people, they are, they're getting into, like into frauds in this case, I would call. Why? Because
Oh.
people after A1, A2 level, they started teaching nowadays, and uh, because of that, the person who is just starting with the language is being cheated, you know and the person is losing interest because the person thinks that that language is very complicated, or maybe the language is not for me. So as you are so experienced in that, so what is your suggestion for someone who is looking for any private tutor? Maybe the person is not, maybe like, is not able to afford Alliance Française. There are a lot of people who are not able to afford Alliance Française. Alliance Française is not very, very cheap. So people usually go for the private tutoring, private coaching. So what is your advice for them? Like, what should a person look for while selecting any particular trainer, language trainer? Because people don't know anything when they're starting with any foreign language. They don't know anything about apart from
Correct.
bonjour, I would say. And
Correct.
so what is it that they can do so that they don't fall into false hand, or wrong hands, I would say.
Right. So I think you can always politely ask the person that you're speaking with, should you want to hire them as your tutor, you
Right.
can ask them what their qualifications are, right? And when you speak about it, maybe just keep an eye out for the level of language that they have, their interest, maybe their past experience,
Right.
and see how it goes, right? I would suggest anything above a B2 is ideally good. Yeah, but again, it depends. So I think you have to have that conversation, in the beginning with the person you want to hire as your tutor, and then work accordingly and see if it works for you or not.
There should be some sort of validation at least.
Yes. I
Right?
mean, at least you're doing a check from your end, right? You're asking them what certifications they have.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I have seen a lot of people, ma'am. They're coming to me. They are not even aware about what levels are there in the language.
Yeah.
So I think doing a little bit of research on your own first.
Correct.
That there are 6 levels: A1, A2, B1, B2. Then what is the ideal level? Ideal level, as you suggested, it's B2 level. So any person, any trainer should be B2 level at least to train somebody else. And if somebody is looking for any private tutor, at least they can ask for the validation. Okay, what is your level? And ma'am, do you recommend that the person should be DELF certified, or if somebody has completed B2 from any Alliance Française internal assessments at Alliance, and then also the person is good to teach? Or do you
I
think
guess
that
so,
DELF
yeah.
validation
Like I
is
said, right? Again, language learning, teaching, just because I know a language doesn't mean I'm good at teaching it.
absolutely
Right. So you have to be able to like have that conversation with the tutor, and the tutor should also be open to it. It's actually a very, it's a very difficult question, because how do I answer it, right? I know how it works. So for me, it's easy to like be able to identify people. But for a
Right.
new person, I guess you have to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like right now, if somebody will ask us how will you how will you trust somebody to train you language to you? I think for us it will be easy. Because we are there in this field, we are also teachers, so we know what to ask, we know
Correct.
what to look for.
Correct.
But for somebody who is just starting to learn any language, or maybe looking to start learning the language, for that person, the person really has to ask some specific questions
Correct.
that will give you some sort of validation,
Correct.
not just fall into false promises that yes, I will train you the language in 3 months or maybe 2 months.
Yeah, like I said again, right? You need constant practice.
Yes.
I mean, we have been speaking our mother tongue since we were born, pretty much, like
Absolutely.
a year probably after we were born. English we've been speaking, since many, many years, decades, right? And that's why we're so good at it. You just need to constantly practice. How can one learn a language in 2-3 months? I mean, it's just unfathomable. I can't imagine that.
Right. That's all, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I
Yeah,
think
thank you,
that
Parth.
a lot of French learners will definitely gain benefit out of this, this conversation.